So I played 6 action RPG games and put them on the cutting block. Now, to give context to this video, ARPGs can mean quite a lot of things. So I've created 3 rules. Number 1, it has to be action combat. Number 2, it has to have an isometric view. And number 3, some kind of loot system in the game. Now, I'm okay with breaking one of these rules if I get the chance to share a really cool game at the same time. Shadows Awakening is a unique isometric single-player RPG with real-time tactical combat. 1,400 mostly positive reviews. RPG, action, hack and slash, isometric loot. Okay. Let's check it out. The first thing that I noticed about Shadows Awakening is the game is extremely polished, up to a Diablo 3 Blizzard standard.
This looks just as good as Diablo 3 in terms of polish.
One of the hooks of Shadows Awakening is you can play multiple classes at the same time and rotate between each one. They have their own items, stat allocation, and skills. One of the characters is a demon class that exists in the Shadow Realm, and by choosing the demon class, it completely changes the map in the game.
Perfect.
I can really appreciate the writing in this game as well. It's clearly from the Queen's tongue, let's call it. Very classical style writing.
I do not ask you to trust me, nor should you. I would betray you without hesitation.
I found that the skills and abilities in the game were enjoyable. They're not over the top, but they're fun.
There's the golem. Check out his damage. Not a lot of damage, but yeah, definite health sink. I like the abilities so far. I mean, they're not crazy, but they're fun.
I do play a lot of action RPGs, and it's always refreshing to see items with stats that I'm familiar with as a Diablo, Path of Exile, Lost Ark player.
Attack speed, crit chance, crit damage, the whole kit. A little bit of lore as well.
Nowadays, the first thing, unfortunately, that we look for in a good game is the business model.
What up, legend? What up, man? How much of a pay to win is this game? Good question. We haven't experienced any shop yet.
The game lacks a grid inventory system.
Just stacks your items down like this. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm pretty sure the game was originally designed for console. Listen to how old school the sound effects are. It's cool, man. It's kind of vintage, hey?
The game also has a lot of depth when it comes to puzzles, which is something you don't see in a lot of action RPGs. I consider these puzzles what you would see in a Zelda game.
Oh! Careful, careful.
Not all of the classes are unlocked straight away. You have to find them as you go.
Got my main mage character. Now let's check out the new dude. Here he is, look. And let's try out his ability. So he throws oil. And if I swap to my fire, does it light up? No. Expecting too much of the game for that, I think.
One thing that really puts me off in video games is terrible voice acting, but even more so, terrible audio mixing.
It is done. Thou completed thy part.
Wonderful voice acting. I just want to take note that the voice audio is mixed beautifully. The over compression for the villain, it's real sticky. The mix.
Camera plays a way bigger role in action RPGs than we realize. Well, a mobile game will have the character extremely close, and some PC games, they'll pull it too far back. To have a fixed camera in the right position is honestly really refreshing when you play as many action RPGs as I do. I would say the bosses in the game weren't as epic as what you would expect from other titles, but honestly, they're still pretty good. Like, they're fun. Review time. Shadows Awakening is a perfectly in the middle action RPG game. It's a really fun single player experience, especially if you like lore. It does have its own identity and interesting mechanics with fun little puzzles and jumping in and out of this shadow realm. It's a unique twist with all the traditional action RPG mechanics you can expect. Would I recommend this game? In the middle. I'm not usually divided with a video game like this. If it looks good, you're probably going to have fun. If it looks boring, it's probably going to be boring for you. It is a middle of the range ARPG experience. That's it. V Rising. Awaken as a vampire. Hunt for blood in nearby settlements to regain your strength and evade the scorching sun to survive. 52,000 very positive reviews. Early access, survival, open world crafting. It's worth noting that Stunlock Studios actually gave me this game for free, but I'm going to be reviewing it from the perspective of a $30 game. My first impressions of V Rising was that it is clearly visually impressive. It is up to scratch with a modern day action RPG from 2023. The best way you could describe V Rising is a crafting game first that plays out like a Diablo-like game. Found it interesting that the game has an open world map design. It's not small either.
Here's how big the map is, by the way. Here's how much I've explored.
I do not have a lot of experience with crafting games, so naturally I wanted to just dick around. So I created the Noodle Castle. I don't know why I found this so humorous. The fact that the game allows you to craft your castle however you want, not restrictive. You can do what you want, and that's really important in crafting games.
I just built my base like this. We're gonna try and just make a snake across the entire map. So it's fucking hilarious to me. So
the way the game integrated action RPG mechanics with the crafting in its own unique way was done incredibly well. There are no classes in this game. You play a vampire. So in other crafting games, you take damage from weather. In V Rising, they've leaned into it thematically.
Okay, so the sun is rising. Now, you can't walk in the sun in this game. You get hurt. It does damage to you. So I'll show you. I'll walk out. See that ray?
So usually I'm used to a health and mana system.
Now I can feed on enemies too by pressing F. And that brings up this bar here. This is my health, by the way, on the left side, and this is just my energy that I can use spells
Base
with.
building is extremely sophisticated. Even though I only showed off my Noodle Castle, you can make real deal multiple level castles with servants. Now, one thing I feel is really overlooked is, first of all, the game's got multiplayer. In the single player game mode, V Rising gives you your own server. So you can set a username and a password in single player and have your friends join into the same environment. So you can still have this awesome multiplayer experience without having to deal with the public. There is a character progression system in the game. It's done a little bit different though.
Also, there's no like traditional leveling in the game. It's dependent on your gear. So you're not like allocating stats into the character, but you are allocating skills.
Now, because of the day and night cycle, you do have to really plan out how you're going to take on bosses to get access to all these new skills. It's kind of like a big event. You got to gear up, make sure everything's great, and then go out for a hunt to get access to all the new good stuff.
Look how much health she's got, guys. Whew, okay. Okay, we got to feed off her too. There we go. Hold to extract the blood. That was pretty good, man. That was pretty good, eh? Okay, new V blood unlocked. Keely the Frost Archer. Okay, press J to swap abilities.
The game does have character customization. I made an undead He-Man. I like the bangs. How great is this? Look at it. He's awesome. I think V Rising is one of those games where the more time you put in, the better it's going to pay off.
You need to build a grinder to make bricks. And I saw the grinder in your plans. Oh, okay. Thanks, man. Hey, you know earlier how we were like, maybe we can learn the map and find like the best place to get copper and whatnot. This looks like the place to get combo.
Review time. V Rising is a really cool combination of crafting and Diablo. If you like crafting games first, you're going to have fun with this. And if you enjoy the Diablo action RPG style mechanics, then you're going to have fun with this as well. It really is a crafting game first though. Would I recommend this game? Yes. The Slormancer. So this game was actually recommended to me by Ugly Cactus, who commented in on the previous video. Fight hordes of enemies led by the Slormancer, an evil warlock from the past. It's an absurd yet epic action RPG. 3,500 very positive reviews, hack and slash action RPG dungeon crawler. Okay. Let's check it out. Slormancer is a roguelike game with the Diablo-style mechanics, so it does have all of the loot that you would expect, as well as stat attribution and skills.
Evasion and crit strike chance, which is what we want. Ranged. Elemental resistance. Could be good.
I really appreciate the art style in this game. It's got that kind of indie stuff that I like. Similar to Shadow's Awakening, you can play multiple characters in this game with the three main archetypes: a mage, a warrior, and a rogue. I found myself leaning almost 100% into the melee class. The combat is way faster than what you would expect from a usual action RPG, and more what you would expect from a roguelike.
Let's see if I can use one and then attack straight away. Yes, I can. That's good. I can combo, so I can use the rain of arrows ability and shoot while it's still in the air like this. Squeeze out a little bit of extra damage. Yeah, you know what? I like the other ability better for now, because the bleed, it's really good damage, but it takes a long time. Actually, we could be efficient with it and just use it like this. Right? And just run away and let him die off screen.
The game incentivizes you to always keep moving, which is what you want from a roguelike.
Okay, luck continuously grows while you're in combat and stops after. So the longer you can combo and stay in attack, your luck meter goes up.
I really like the way that the Slormancer handles legendary items. It makes it feel better.
Oh, look at this. Gold-plated sword. All right, this is the first weapon that we found. So you found a Slorm Reaper. It has automatically been stored in your Reaper's collection. Press R to open up your collection. Look at the stats on that thing too. Hold up. And you can change your Slorm Reapers at any time. And we'll check out, there's our skill. There it is. Pops up automatically in our number one.
Although the game does get very difficult at times, in other situations, there is some flaws in the combat.
Okay, I have found a bit of a flaw with the combat. I mean, I can just do this, right? And I just never get hit. And it's not difficult to do this. You know, it kind of takes away a bit of the fun.
A lot of action RPGs forget that the genre is arcadey at heart, and you can see this specifically with how games handle things like potions and shrines. Well, when it comes to shrines, the Slormancer, they do it right.
Exalted Breaches give you a powerful bonus for a short period of time that can be extended. Make the most of it. Yes, this is awesome. I've still got it. There it is. There's the cooldown. 75% attack speed. That's how you do shrines, guys. Big damage bonuses that make you feel powerful. Significant amount of time, not 4 or 5 seconds or anything lame like that. Oh, dude, this is so good.
As you clear out these very large maps, the game has this cool way of concluding with either a boss or this very fun wave mechanic that you have to work through.
3 more waves to go. Can we do it? We're on 1/3 health. Okay, here we go. I don't think there's any buttons for potions either.
You can't really experience what this game has to offer just by looking at it. You have to play it.
What I've noticed is with the pacing of the game, it's very much like it appears easy, and it is. The combat is relatively easy, but what happens is you slowly get chipped down. You might take a hit here, a hit there, and it adds up.
To be honest, I can't really tell if the Slormancer has its own original score or if they've purchased stock music, which is just so good these days, you cannot tell the difference. Either way, the music in this game is extremely refreshing.
I'm really blown away by the soundtrack in this game. The score, it's beautiful. It's so much better than if it was like a pixel, 8-bit style soundtrack that's so cliche.
Take a look at how big the maps are. Now, leaning into the roguelike element of the Slormancer, the game has this mechanic called the Cataclysm. Monsters are given a randomized mechanic that just make it more difficult for you as a player.
Damn, it's got a Cataclysm reincarnation, so that means in this particular case, enemies have a 100% chance to be revived once upon dying. You have to kill enemies twice. Oh yeah, it's boss time.
The bosses in the game are very simple in design, but very effective. They work. It's really hard to understand just how big the Slormancer is. It's a massive indie game, guys.
Own enemy types and everything. It took about 3.5, 4 hours to do the graveyard. They've just opened up the prison system. And if you look at my ancestral legacy, look how much progression I've got to go. So this game is a lot bigger than I assumed.
Review time. The Slormancer is a fantastic roguelike first action RPG. Indie games do not usually have a huge budget. I have a hunch this is like a AAA version of an indie game. It is extremely well polished, extremely well animated, thought out, and a very large game. Would I recommend the Slormancer? If you absolutely despise indie games, then you're not going to like this game. But if you do like indie games, this is about as good as it gets. Baldurs Gate Dark Alliance. So this game was commented in the previous video as well by John Coffey. He said Baldurs Gate Dark Alliance was so good. 629 very positive reviews. It's also worth noting that the release date on Steam says 2021. This is a remake of the game that came out 20 years ago. Action RPG dungeon crawler. Well, time to go back in time and check this bad boy out. Now, this is by far the oldest action RPG we've done in this series, so it does have its shortcomings. One is the camera.
Yeah, the camera angle. Usually with ARPGs, what they'll do is when you walk through a door like this, you'll get a transparency effect, so your character's not blocked. Because I'm sitting here attacking rats and can't see what's going on. See, like this, I'm taking a heap of damage there unnecessarily because I can't see which angle the rat is
It
at.
also handles essentially what is a scroll of town portal in kind of an odd way when video games were still trying to find their footing on how to handle certain things.
There we go. There's the recall potion. Okay, so recall potions are very useful. They can teleport you back to town, blah, 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 blah. Recall potions are used through the pause menu. Yeah, that's so odd. That's so odd. Let's try it.
Being an older game as well, it doesn't shy away from this stuff too.
You're back. Did you see Ethon down there?
Alice, do you want to scan that?
I'm already scanning.
Thank you. Thank you.
But the game does have stat allocation as well. It's not quite what I'm used to, but it's its own thing. Even though I never played the original, I can appreciate that they included a lot of the original content.
Excellent. The entrance you seek lies on the level below past the sewer grates.
They used the original audio from this game.
The level design and the monsters were very interesting in the Baldur's Gate universe. Definitely doesn't handhold the player.
Oh, these guys do a lot of damage. 1 year. Oh my god. No way. There's no way I can even attack those guys. How the hell do I even start with that?
Environments have their own cool quirks as well.
Oh, look at that. See that? The environment just killed it.
As someone who grew up and still plays the original Baldur's Gate games like Shadow of the Am, they have stayed true to the art style and aesthetics of all of those games. In fact, it feels more Baldur's Gate than Baldur's Gate 3 does.
The vibe in this game is true to Baldur's Gate. You know, it's got those kind of dull browny colors, same architecture.
The UI is a product of its time. It's not great, but this is what we got back then. I'm sure it's been done before, but this is by far the earliest action RPG game I've ever played that is, first of all, in 3D, but also has verticality with jumping mechanics. The bosses are very old school in all the right ways. They just look cool.
And that guy looks like our first boss. And he's going to try and kill the intruders, which... it's me.
So the game does struggle with a couple of things like character mapping, the same that all of the Baldurs Gate games suffer from.
I'm gonna hit him with the bow. Gonna hit him with the bow here. I don't think he can get through that door. Oh, I hope he can't. No, you can't. Gonna have to cheese it, boys. Gonna have to cheese it. Oh, he can't get through the door.
Surprisingly, this game is pretty ahead of its time. It has this Skyrim style character dialogue, fully voice acted as well.
Hey, low key though. For 2001? Like this zoom in feature, I don't know if it's part of the remake or not, but this is pretty advanced stuff for the time.
I've shown a lot of gameplay of being in the dungeons, but it's also worth noting that the game has its own town hub and tavern where you buy all your gear and all that cool stuff. Some of the characters are a little bit more forgettable than the other Baldur's Gate games in different genres.
You've got one of the best skullets I've seen so far. Unbelievable. Hulk Hogan would be proud.
Review time. It's just not fair. I cannot review Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance and compare it with action RPGs that have come out 22 years later. But I want you to know that after I finished streaming this game, I went and played it for about another 7 more hours in my own time, and I enjoyed it. Would I recommend this game? Unfortunately, no. Unless you have a nostalgic attachment to this game, I think the other Baldur's Gate turn-based D&D games have held up a lot better over time. It's hard to justify the $43 to buy this game on Steam when there are so many wonderful action RPG games that are available now. Darksiders Genesis gives players their first look at the world of Darksiders before the events of the original game. Heavy, alright. 7,800 very positive reviews. Action, adventure, hack and slash, co-op, and loot.
Game looks pretty. Look at this. You see, we can jump off. Yeah, we can definitely jump off.
It's cool to see a mount in an action RPG that's kind of getting popularized now.
Yeah, because it's in Diablo 4. I do appreciate it. It's kind of getting me used to it because it doesn't really exist in a lot of action RPGs, you know?
So the game does have verticality and very easy puzzles as well.
Okay, I don't think we can do this jump on the horse. Let's try. Careful. There we go. Grapple jump and then wall climb. Flawless.
Unlike some of the previous games that we've looked at, Darksiders Genesis does not have your traditional classes. It has 2 characters, Strife and War.
Switch between Strife and War at any time by pressing V. Okay, so it's one is melee and one is ranged. Oh, damn. There we go, there we go. So now we got a bit of shooting potential.
And I really appreciate good voice acting, and Mike Mercer is my favorite. Probably recognize his voice. Now that you've heard him, you're probably going to hear him everywhere too, like I do.
Be careful. I don't want to climb back up.
Okay, it's definitely Mike Mercer as well. Man, this dude is in every single game we play.
Expect nothing less from a Darksiders game than to have really cool world design.
Massive crossbow. Look at the big buffalo horns on it. Or demon horns. It looks like we're in hell. I know Darksiders is its own universe, super complex.
Again, I don't know why a lot of action RPGs like to mess around with the camera angles.
So it's automatically changing the camera for me as well, like that. See that? It's like a transition. Wait, is that the edge? Oh, dude. The camera view is extremely difficult. It is a little bit weird. It is a little bit weird.
So the game does not include a skill tree. You actually find new abilities as you progress through the game.
Let's find out what this is. New ability. Here we go. Charge shot.
I play a lot of ARPGs that include a rage system, and this game's got one too.
Does so much damage too. Oh, sick. Okay, when the meter fills up, it just keeps going.
Darksiders has this certain quality and style about the writing as well.
After I drive my sword through Moloch's skull, perhaps
Wow.
then we will have an answer to your question.
It's got that lightheartedness too that you find from Marvel and DC. You know, that fun comic booky, serious, but there is a layer of like, you know, it's fun.
When you find a new item, it has a gameplay mechanic that is required for you to move forward. Here's an example.
Oh, so it does it in order.
The world design in this is epic, over the top, and awesome. Nothing is boring about the visuals.
Something big over here. Look at this thing. Statue. Looks like me. Want to take my shirt off? That's what I look like, guys. There was a cinematic for the old Darksider games back when they were on like PlayStation and stuff. And I remember I got stuck in this YouTube video. It was like a 2-hour long cut scene compilation. I watched the whole thing. It was like a sick movie.
There aren't a lot of bosses in this game, but when they do have bosses, they do them well.
Still, I'm trying to shoot you.
Review time. Darksiders is a very fun action RPG, but it does fall short with things like itemization and just the general length of the game. I finished it in about 6 hours in one session. I would not recommend this game simply because it's priced at $50 for essentially a 6-hour game. Generally, my rule is $1 per hour of gameplay. That's a really good deal for the gamer, but it's not. It's $50, so there's no way it's worth it. Avernus. This may be pronounced Avernus, but I'm calling it Avernus. Avernus is a challenging action-adventure game set in the ancient, mysterious tomb of a dead god. Only 4 user reviews on Steam. Indie, Souls-like, single-player, action-adventure. Wow, we might be one of the first people to do a video on this game.
Damn, take a look at this. Looks good.
Avernus is a Dark Souls game at heart. It has all the mechanics that you would expect.
This is where I died. I can collect my stuff again. There we go. I can collect all my souls, I guess you could call it. Wow, okay. It's very, very punishing. No more heals left. No more heals left. Half health. All right. This changes things.
I think I died about 30 to 40 times before getting to the first boss. So the game's still in early access, but it does have a fairly competent but simple progression system where you can level up your health, your damage, or your stamina. I can't stress this enough, guys. The game is very hard.
Like, it's literally one hit, game over. One hit, game over, start again. Thanks for coming. See you later. This is probably the most Dark Souls-y ARPG that's on the market right now.
The game leans into its game design by putting a narrow walkway with an enemy that has knockback. It's just designed to make you fall
This is
off.
going to collapse too, I think, if I walk on this. Oh, dude, I could see it coming. Okay, we're back, we're back. No! Oh, I tried to use a I'm alive, I'm alive. Hey.
Now, as hard as the game is, it does have that one redeeming quality that Dark Souls games have. You keep your levels. No matter how difficult things get, every time you get one more stat in your character, it's going to get just that little bit easier. One of the flaws of the game is it's just not generous enough with stamina. So it uses abilities that you would expect from action RPGs, but ties them in with your dodge and your healing. So you almost never want to use your abilities because you need it to stay alive.
Figured out is that special ability when I shift left click, it uses up my ambrosia bar. which takes us further away from healing. So we're never going to be using that ability.
With every Dark Souls-like game, you do get to that point where you're like,
see what it is. Okay, we've just found pain. There's only pain up there.
let's talk about the boss fights. Easily the biggest highlight of this game.
I can hear stuff. Machines. I can hear machines moving around. I don't like it. I don't like it. Oh no.
So the very first boss in the game is fully fleshed out, has so many different mechanics going on. I believe it took me about 10 attempts to complete. And just remember, every time you die, you go straight back to the start of the game. It does make it a little bit more easier by opening up corridors to get to the boss quicker, can skip enemies, but it's just brutal, man. Here's the thing though, this is what I most appreciate about these games, because bosses in action RPGs are boring, they're easy, it's just done better with a Dark Souls-like mechanic. It was really cool to see the monsters in the game progressively get more complex, from zombies cut in half, crawling around that were pretty easy to kill, all the way up to these big fire rings and Inferno. Review time. I'm just gonna let this speak for itself.
Honestly blown away by this game. Yeah, this game's in early access. It has 1 review on Steam. This is a perfect example of a fantastic game that's fallen through the cracks.
Since the time I originally played this game, it's now got 4 reviews on Steam. This is a diamond in the rough. Would I recommend this game? Yes. If you got any video games that you want to recommend to me, please let me know.
Yeah!